This is Dwayne Maltsby. We're here in the home of Mr. and Mrs. Leander Logan. Mr. Logan was a teacher at Cheyney University. Let's hear what they have to say.
I'll put it this way. I did work as a teacher for 40 years, but 5 of those years was at the North Carolina, at Raleigh, North Carolina, at Shaw University High School. I taught there 5 years and then came to Cheyney. So I was at Cheyney 35 years, a total of 40 years.
Did being black in the early 1900s hinder your performance?
No.
Do you feel that if you had been white, more doors would have been open for you?
No, I don't think so. And as a matter of fact, being black did not stand in my way. Now, this is not in the field of education I'm speaking of now. In employment, I was in one situation. I was a foreman in the laying of a floor in a cotton mill. I was one of 5 men working on that floor, and I was the only Negro in the group. In fact, I was the head of the group. And they paid me more than they paid the white fellows because they found out that I knew what I was doing.
So it's all a matter of what you can do.
Yeah. When I first went there, by the way, seeking employment after that terrible storm in 1916, I was one of several fellows operating a public service transfer when that storm put us out of business. Then I had to go looking for something. When I went to this cotton mill looking for work, and they found out that I was not white, they told me that they couldn't give me any work. And I went out back of the place and saw 2 fellows whom I knew. They were colored, black. And I took hold. They were cutting some big timbers with a crosscut saw, and I got hold of one of those, one end of that crosscut saw, and the man who was in charge of that operation came by. I said to him, "Oh, you wouldn't give me any work to do, and I'm working anyhow," and that stopped him. And he said, "Well, if you're so anxious to get some work, there's some wood to be piled up over the hill here where a right-of-way for a road has been cut, and you want to go and pile up some wood, you can do that." I said, "All right, I'll pile up some wood." "Well, you come by tomorrow morning and I'll show you what I want you to do." So I went over, he showed me. I worked till noon, sat down, ate my lunch, and about 2 o'clock I saw the man coming over the hill, and he came over and looked around at what I had done, and he said, "Can you do lathing?" I said, "Yes, I can do lathing. There's a house being built over here. It's been closed in now, and it's ready for lathing. Can you do that?" I said, "Yes, I can do that." He said, "Will you come over and see the man in charge of that operation over there and tell him I sent you?" Well, I went over the next morning, and looked the situation over, and I told him that I had been sent over by the superintendent to see about putting the lathers on this building. Well, I saw the man. I told him that I had been sent over. He said, well, would you want to do this by the hour or by the square yard? I said, I'll do it by the square yard, sir. I said, all right. So I went to work on that and finished the whole job alone. And by that time, the superintendent came back over and to see what I had done. And he said, well, we have a large floor in the main building to be laid. A 4-inch floor to support heavy machinery has been placed, and a diagonal floor of 1-inch boards have been done on the big floor, and now I want a floor of hard maple on top of that. Can you do that? I said, yes, I can do that. He's come over, and I didn't know he was going to give me some white fellows to do the job, but that's what he did. We got along beautifully on that job. And those fellows knew that I was getting more money than they were getting. Now, if I had turned down the job of piling up some wood, I never would have got that job.
You stated earlier.
Pardon?
You stated earlier that that wasn't the situation as far as education.
Oh, education?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I was ready for high school, there wasn't a high school available to me within reach. As a matter up there in the mountains, it was difficult for those white fellows to get a high school education. So, I had to wait, and there were 9 children. I'm the oldest of 9. My mother had died early, and my father had a job on his hands. He had to get somebody to keep house, and he didn't feel able to send me off to boarding school. So I lost 5 years working on the farm till I saw that I thought that I could take care of myself, so I did. I went to Shaw University High School, paid my way through that, and then through college for 4 years.
This is the year of the talented tent at Cheyney. What are your views on the controversy that existed between W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington?
Well, I hardly know how to answer that, because Booker T. Washington was you know the history. I no need to tell you about that. But he had an idea that if we could get our people at that time prepared to fill work positions, that's what they ought to do. And the result of that, of course, was Hampton and Tuskegee. Now, Du Bois was favored classical education more than Booker T. Washington. By the way, this is a side now. Booker T. Washington's son, David, came to Shaw when, before the medical school was discontinued, and he was just a big sport. He couldn't make it there at the Leonard Medical School. And years later, when I was looking for a teacher for graphic arts, I went to Tuskegee. And at that time, David Washington, the son of Booker Washington, was the official greeter of the school. I bought a book from the store, and this is what he did. I bought the book and paid for it, and he took the book and wrote on a flyleaf, son of Booker T. Washington. Yeah, David Washington, the son of Booker T. Washington. Of course, he had no business to do that, but that's what he did. And I never heard anything about David Washington after that. I don't know what became of him, but he would try to ride on the reputation of his father.
Do you take a side? Do you have a side that you...
Pardon?
Do you take a side? Do you agree, do you agree with Webb or Washington?
With Washington?
You agree with Washington?
Well, he had his place, yes. He did a good job in his field. By the way, when I went to Tuskegee looking for a man for graphic arts at Cheyney, I met Booker T. I don't mean Booker T. Washington. The name escapes me. You know it as well as I do. A man who made the sweet potato.
George Washington Carver.
Carver, yes. Yes, I met Carver. And he was just an ordinary little man, but he did a wonderful job down there. He didn't care anything about how he looked. He came to Taylor one time. He had on a coat, a jacket, with his sleeves halfway up to his elbow. He didn't care anything at all about what he looked like. He did a wonderful job, though.
I read in a book on Booker T. Washington that his son was originally supposed to attend Cheyney. Do you know anything about this?
No. By the way, I taught high school science, including physics, of course, and I used the automobile to demonstrate the 5 major branches of physics in the automobile. And it included everything in the internal combustion engine as it is applied then, was applied then and still does. But I had in mind now, I'll see what I can do on this matter of external combustion engines. So I looked around and found a Stanley Steamer that had been discarded, and I said, now, I'm going to get that thing and redo it, so to speak. I got it for a small price, and after I bought it, I was walking uptown one evening and I saw a Stanley Steam car draw up to the curb on Fayetteville Street. As I was passing, I said, "No, I'm going to." He drew over to the curb, but I went over and introduced myself. I told him I had just acquired an old Stanley, and I wanted to know where I could get all of the parts that I would need to rebuild that thing. He said, "Well, I represent the Stanley at Norfolk, Virginia, and you make up a list of everything you need, and I'll get them to you right away." And so I did. And that's just what I came to Cheyney, and Mr. Hill wired me, offered me a job. He said somebody had recommended me to him as the one he needed to change the manual training course over to industrial arts. And it was at the end of the summer quarter that I got that telegram from Mr. Hill. And my reply to him was this: I've been appointed as teacher of freshman chemistry at Shaw, and it's too late to ask to be released from that obligation. It wouldn't be fair to, at this date, to put them under the necessity of getting somebody else. And the first thing I knew, Mr. Hill was in Chicago for an personal interview. And I told him my answer will be the same. I would not ask to be relieved from my present obligation. And he said, "Well, now, would you object to my writing Dr. Peacock and asking for an honorable release? And I've already come by the Department of Education at Harrisburg and arranged for a $400 addition to my first offer." I said, "If you wanted to do that, you ought to write Dr. Peacock. I won't object." I got a letter from Dr. Peacock to this effect: we can't meet the offer that had been made to you, and at the same time, we won't stand in your way, but we'll make you this offer. We'll release you for a year, let you go to Cheyney for a year, and if you want to come back to Shaw, that place will still be open to you. Well, I came to Cheyney on that offer and didn't go back. After a year.